Hello and welcome to Programmatic Training, Planning 2.2, Mobile Display Planning. Our course objectives today will be to understand the nuances of mobile display planning, also look at the top-line knowledge of technology used within mobile campaigns, then to know how to apply the mobile data to a campaign and pull availability of impressions against third-party data. In preparation for today's meeting, we will take a step back and look at the programmatic training that we've had so far. We'll also consider why to add mobile within a programmatic plan. And then we'll look at the available data and technology for mobile-specific initiatives. And at the end, we'll create an audience segment within the DSP. Now let's take a step back and look at the training that we've already done. Planning really is the art and science of programmatic. Programmatic planning combines the three core pillars of data-driven marketing. These three pillars include data, inventory, and technology. It's the combination of these three things that make programmatic come together and come to life. It's important to remember that the programmatic campaign lifecycle is cyclical. The programmatic campaign lifecycle is not a linear process. We do start with planning and then set the campaign up for launch and run it with the different optimizations. But then the insights and information that we glean from the wrap-up report, we're able to put back into the next campaign for that brand. And finally, to take you back to week 4, whose data is it anyways? We spoke about data being segmented into 3 different sections: first party, second party, and third party. The best way to think about it is to put yourself in your advertiser's shoes. This is my data. Typically, it's client-owned data that includes CRM information or other data that's gleaned from their media. Second-party data can be considered your data. Your data refers to a publisher. Third-party data refers to different segments that we apply to programmatic campaigns, whether that be Blue-Kai behavioral segments, Nielsen Catalina purchase-based segments. These 3 data sources combined formulate the third pillar of programmatic, data. Now let's move forward into when to consider mobile in a media plan. Before we get into the planning process for mobile, it's important to understand how we use mobile throughout our day. This diagram gives us a really good idea of how much we actually use mobile devices throughout our day. If you're like me, some of you actually use your phone as your alarm clock. As soon as it goes off, you pick it up, turn it off, and then you start to read the news, look at your email, or even check Facebook. And then as you go out your door, perhaps you start your commute. You use your tablet to take in news, to start reading a book, or perhaps as you wait for the subway, you're again on Facebook, looking at your fantasy football team scores, or just taking in information online. Then once we get to work, we sit down at our desks and we surf the internet. Even though it's part of our jobs, each and every time that we're online, there's an opportunity for an advertiser to serve us an impression. Then when we go out for lunch or we take some time off, we take our mobile devices with us and we continue to check email, perhaps we look at sports scores, or we're doing some online shopping. And then at the end of the day, we're back at home, decompressing, sitting down on the couch and watching some television. But we're not just watching television. We're sitting there with your laptop, your cell phone, or perhaps even your tablet. In that instance, you have 3 different screens in front of you where an advertiser can potentially serve you a message. And then it starts all over again. So as this demonstrates, there are several touch points throughout the day where advertisers can capture us on mobile devices. There's been research that Google has done that shows that 90% of consumers actually move between devices to complete a task. And 84% of our multi-screen shopping experiences starts with mobile during the first or second interaction. So right there, it goes back to the concept of programmatic, reaching the right person at the right time in the right place. So think about your brand, think about your KPIs and your objectives of the campaigns, and whether or not you want to reach your consumer on their phone, their tablet, or maybe their mobile device versus their desktop. There's no doubt that the programmatic mobile opportunity is growing. What we see here is that 22% of digital ad spend is mobile, and then of that, 14% of mobile ad spend is programmatic. But those are just percentages. Let's look at it in dollars. The total U.S. digital ad spend is almost $43 billion. And on mobile, it's about $10 billion. When we whittle that down to programmatic mobile, the ad spend is only about $1.5 billion. This ad spend is about 3% of the total digital ad spend across the board. What we're finding is that people spend 20% of their media time on mobile, but advertisers spend only 4% of their ad budgets on mobile advertising. So with more people spending more time on mobile devices, it's time to start thinking about it within our programmatic campaigns. Before we can plan for mobile programmatic campaigns, we have to define mobile. Mobile is defined by both a device and an environment. The environment relates to the mobile web versus in-app inventory. The device has to do with tablet versus smartphones. As a channel, mobile is display or video media that's run on a mobile device in a mobile environment, and the media is actually purchased via a DSP. The inventory available will depend on both the device and the environment. So let's keep that in mind when we move forward and think about planning for programmatic. As an example of a publisher that's going mobile first, AOL just recently made this announcement introducing their new AOL.com. This is an example of a publisher who has designed their website to be mobile friendly first. As you can see, the information is the same on both the desktop and the mobile device. However, first and foremost, it has to be user-friendly on the mobile device. And this is something that all advertisers need to consider if they're going to use mobile within their campaigns. Will the user's experience be positive on a mobile device? Now that we've decided that mobile is going to be part of our campaign, it's important to provide the person that will be planning for this campaign with clear direction on all of these items. The campaign brief must provide insight to these questions, including, is the campaign's website mobile friendly? Does the client have an app? And if so, are we going to be responsible for tracking downloads? Will the client have a mobile specific creative? Does the client care about where the consumers are when they're targeted? And what is the desired outcome of each campaign? Is it to drive in-store traffic or download an application? We'll discuss later on in the presentation why all of these things are important. Now let's take a look at some of the tactics to consider within the mobile channel. As with the display channel, mobile tactics can span the conversion funnel. Moving down the funnel, we start with awareness, or the filtering tactic at the top. This is where you add data layers on top that you don't pay for to further qualify your audience. This could include device, model, demographic, or maybe you want to add day parting, or only target those users who have a certain connection speed or a certain mobile service provider. And then in the middle of the funnel, you have prospecting. Prospecting is the tactic where you use third-party data providers in order to hyper-target your audience. This becomes very important within mobile to understand that you can only target in certain ways, because mobile, for the most part, is a cookieless environment. However, we are able to target location-based, behavioral data, or even mobile app activity. Then at the very bottom of the funnel, you have retargeting. These are the consumers that are of the highest value to you. They have already visited your website or have shown intent to purchase. The retargeting can include cross-device retargeting, so between mobile to desktop, desktop to mobile, or perhaps you retarget users who have been to your app and conducted a certain activity within it, or have visited you in store. A tactic not previously covered in the slide before is native ad targeting within mobile. This is a great way to increase the reach of your campaign, and it really is the combination of form, function, and quality content to deliver value-based exchanges between the consumer and brand. Native ad targeting is really a concept of putting advertising in stream while a consumer is taking in content. In this particular case, we're using ad content within mobile applications. This is a way for us to find incremental inventory and added reach using the mobile application environment. Another tactic you can use for mobile is an integration between mobile and social. In this particular case, we have tweet display. This was a collaboration between Flight, a technology company, and Samsung Mobile. In order to get more life and to extend the reach of their Twitter campaigns, Flight was able to take Samsung's organic Twitter posts and put them on mobile media banner ads. In this example, Samsung was able to scale their Twitter program, measure native Twitter metrics, and also measure the different actions taken in mobile versus just the social network. Now let's take a look at our first pillar, data, as well as location-based targeting within mobile devices. Now let's take a look at mobile-specific data concepts. Please note that cookie-based data is rarely available in mobile environments. As a result, we rely heavily on location-based targeting, but we can do some behavioral targeting within in-app inventory. Behavioral targeting is a little bit different in mobile. It can be based on historical or current location tracking. There can be some traditional third-party behavioral data that's available on a very small scale within a cookie mobile environment. But most importantly, behavioral targeting is done via app usage. It's extrapolated to bucket demographics, psychographic, and behavioral actions. The second mobile-specific data concept is around location-based targeting. You have location tracking, as well as geofencing and in-store visitation. In the next slides, we'll dive deeper into the location-based targeting concepts. Mobile campaigns really do embody the concept behind programmatic of serving the right impression to the right person at the right moment. Location-based ads can be based on geofencing or targeting, location data segments, location as a conversion event, and location retargeting. Now, geofencing is a targeting tactic based on a user's location. This can be as simple as targeting by a zip or DMA, or can involve fencing off a location, such as a place of interest, such as maybe Walmart stores, a stadium, and from there you serve ads to a consumer as they enter that space. Location data segments is a concept where you use location data as context and targeting for a user based on their location behavior. For example, someone who frequents golf courses may be deemed a golf enthusiast. Someone who is in a stadium would be considered a sports enthusiast. Or perhaps you're looking for a pretzel enthusiast, and so you drill down to the Auntie Anne's store in every single mall across America. Now, location as a conversion event is a little bit different. This is using location data as a conversion trigger for offline attribution. For example, a conversion is when a user sees an ad and then goes into an H&M store. And finally, location retargeting is where a user will see an ad whether they're in a location or not, and then later on they will be shown another ad outside of the location at a later time. There are two different concepts when you think about location targeting. One is geotargeting and the other is geofencing. Geofencing is where you literally draw a fence around a particular area that you want to target your mobile campaign to. You can also use past location data segments if you want to do geotargeting. This is where a user will habitually go to an area, and as such we have defined them as having a certain behavior. There are two things to consider when looking at geofencing: radius and population density. Radius around a latitude or a longitude point will actually determine who you serve your ads to. These can be used precisely to target brick and mortar locations, but as we'll see on the next slide, it's very important to take into account how large that radius is and the density of your population when drawing this radius. Here on this slide, we give an example of two different population areas. The first is New York and the other is Spokane, Washington. Now, it's important to understand that you do have to adjust your radius around the destination that you're trying to target depending on the population density. Within New York, because there are so many people, the chances of you reaching the consumers that you want to reach at a less than a 1 mile radius is highly likely. However, if we look at Spokane, Washington, you may need to consider a 5 or a 10, maybe 15 or 20 mile radius around your location in order to get the volume of impressions needed to satisfy the goals of your campaign. Let's take a moment and look at Ninth Decimal. Ninth Decimal is a cross-screen location-based advertising vendor and is a preferred partner of Zenith Optimedia. Their location tracking methodology allows us to target not only an audience of what they've done and what they're doing, but then after we've shown them our media, we're able to then track their in-store visitation and show specific lift to those users who were shown ads. The second programmatic pillar that we'll look at today is mobile inventory. Previously, inventory had been limited within the mobile environment. But as you can see here, over 295 billion impressions are available via mobile web and app each month. Mobile-specific ad exchanges are now also on the rise. We can access them via mobile DSP, or as we'll talk about in the next section, some of our cross-channel DSPs. Here's a list of some of our mobile-specific ad exchanges that are now fueling the volume of impressions that we are able to see on a monthly basis. Other contributing factors to the increase in mobile inventory is the fact that we're able to now scale very important sizes. Key creative sizes provide the inventory needed to satisfy campaign goals and investments. A couple notes about creative. You can use standard 728 by 90 ad units as you would have in the desktop display space, but the inventory with that ad size is very limited. Look to 320 by 50 or 300 by 50 for the most scale within a mobile campaign. Also, interstitial ad units will be able to help scale your campaigns and drive strong click-through rates and engagement. Interstitials are similar to page takeovers on desktop display. They are served when you navigate between pages on mobile web or in-app. They will take over almost the entire screen and require you to X out of them in order to view the content. This is why you generally see large click-through rates and engagement with these campaigns, as they are very impactful. Lastly, let's take a look at the third-party mobile technologies as the final pillar within programmatic mobile buying. There are two types of mobile DSPs. One is a multi-channel DSP, which has mobile capabilities. The second is a mobile channel-only DSP. The multi-channel DSPs are similar to what we've already looked at: DBM, The Trade Desk, AOP, NetMining, and Viant. Multi-channel DSPs are based on desktop technology that's applied to the mobile inventory. Another detriment is that it's based on cookie-based data and exchange-based buying, and there are limited availability to track mobile users. However, with the mobile channel DSPs, the algorithms are really born out of mobile device signals. They track users across mobile environments, and they are capable of onboarding behavioral data and have advanced location targeting. Some of these DSPs include Adelphic and Run. Now let's take a look at Adelphic. Adelphic is a Viviki-verified Tier 1 DSP. Adelphic has been chosen because of their polydimensional targeting technology, which is unique for their geofencing. They also have really good access to data. They have a strong behavioral targeting integration with Neustar. They also are able to geo-target via DMA and lat longe based on IP and GPS data. They have a strong media integration so we can reach relevant apps and sites. And then when it comes to everyday management, they have integrations that help with frequency capping, advanced tracking capabilities, and also their own SDK implementation. Another technology that's very important within Programmatic are the ad servers. Now there are mobile-specific ad servers that we use, but unfortunately there is no clear winner for mobile ad serving, and so our clients will use one of many. Mobile ad servers will track more than just impressions and clicks. They also allow for the tracking of mobile web and in-app installs or actions. Some of the certified Viviki mobile vendors include MediaMind, Celtra, Crisp, and Fluent. When it comes to tracking mobile actions, it's important to understand there are two different ways to execute this. The first is via mobile web. Mobile web allows you to track clicks and actions on sites that allow for tracking. You simply add your desktop floodlights to the mobile site or create a new floodlight within DBM or DCM to place the code on the mobile page. Secondly, into consideration is the mobile app environment. In order to track mobile app environment actions, it's important to add a mobile in-app floodlight to Google Tag Manager or implement an SDK, a software developer kit. This will allow for you to track app downloads, but then also in-app activities.